Budden comes out of the closet. Is there anyone who's surprised about this? I'm not. We going live from the underground. What up, YouTube? Topaz Yates back with you for Live from the Underground. For those of you who don't know about this show, man, we touch on particular topics every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe Fridays, depending on what's going on. And today, the biggest news to come out in the music industry is easily Joe Budden off of his Joe Budden podcast coming out. In fact, I think the best way we could go ahead and do this is to let Joe Budden tell you this specifically himself.
Form?
I'm bisexual.
Fuck okay. It's okay now. You got okayed? He got okayed?
How do I spread this news? How do I spread the word?
I think you got to call the CEO.
Yo, listen.
You gotta make sure it's okay.
I like guys and girls. Spread the word. I'm down.
Remember, this was the
I've seen
first
enough.
time he returned to the form.
Run it back.
I'm bisexual.
Fuck okay. It's okay
As
now.
he said
You got
right
okayed?
there,
He got okayed?
I'm
How do I
bisexual.
spread this news? How do I spread the word?
I think you got to call the CEO.
Yo, listen.
You gotta make sure it's okay.
I like guys and girls. Spread the word.
Okay. Those are in his own words. Now, do you believe it? Ends up becoming the question. Like, some people are already coming out like, the way that he's putting this in this kind of context, it feels like he's trolling the entire community. Which, I mean, could be plausible knowing who Joe Budden is, but it doesn't shock me. Like, it is hard to get a straight person to admit to anything like this, even if this is all for the ratings, because clearly, like, Joe Budden's name has been the most trending topic all day. Like, it's been jumping all day due to this. Now, could this be the money play? Could it be a troll in order to continue to promote his own podcast and all that stuff? Could be. I mean, he is that type. He will do anything in order to get publicity. We've seen it with him falling down the steps and all of this stuff. We've seen him go out of his way all the way a lot of different times trying to get publicity. Could this be a troll? It could be. But look at the outfit. Look at the image that we're looking at right now. Doesn't that kind of give it away? But here's my thing. That's not why I believe this to be true. The reason why I believe this to be true is because he was promoted in the mainstream music industry. In order for people to get to that point, something typically is going on. There's a lot of individuals that probably got tapes on them doing things. They got all kinds of blackmail on them in order to control them once they get into the mainstream industry. So if they promote them, things don't go bad. Oh, you remember that time that you was getting drunk with us? Industry executives who are known for toning people out, men out. Now, am I saying that all artists who reach commercial industry end up going through all of this and they have questionable things in their past and they are saying, and not every one of them are claiming to be who they are? I'm not saying all of them. But I'm saying a strong percentage, depending on how they came up in the game, yeah, you can kind of make some clean assumptions. You feel me? Like, if you came into the industry without a cosign from somebody who put people on, who's known for putting people, like if Gucci put you on, I doubt if you have. Because Gucci he strives to find the next sound, the next image of the trap. You got to have a certain persona in order to do that. If Gucci puts you on, 9 times out of 10, no, you didn't go through this. But if you went straight on through the label before you even like popped off, like if you didn't reach Nipsey Hussle caliber of fame in the streets, doing your own business, doing it all yourself, if you didn't reach that caliber and you went straight on with a record label, like, I would say 6 to 7 times out of 10, there's something that they have about you. There's something that they will hold over your head in the future if need be for them to go ahead and put you out there and invest that kind of money in you in order to take every dollar off of you. Like, but it's just like with whole Lil Nas X and all this stuff, dude. Like, they seek out individuals who have their own agenda for them, or individuals that they can take full control of, people who have something to hide that they can hold on to and put that against you in the future. Like, these are the types of people that they go after in the long run. So I'm happy for Joe Budden that he's honestly speaking his truth. He's finally, if this is not a troll, if this is him actually deep down telling us what he's all about, which it doesn't shock me, and I do believe it is, I'm happy for him. As much as people want to say, oh, the black community, you guys hate on anybody who's in the alphabet community. No. Clearly, based off of what Dave Chappelle has said in his latest special, man, we don't care. Like, there's been plenty of individuals who were overtly in the closet that everyone knew about in the black community, and we just let it rock. You don't have to make an announcement about it. Like, we cool with you. Like, Luther. A lot of people had a lot of questions about Luther. You ever wonder why in all of Luther's videos, when there's like a woman there, like, it's never Luther who's doing the acting in it. Like, Luther's always playing the piano out there in nowhere while he's overwatching this straight man and this straight woman go through their issues and things of that nature. Why would they do that? Because everybody knew about Luther. No one's gonna believe that if you put Luther in that video, but everybody loved Luther. Everybody loved the music that he was kicking. Everybody rocked with Luther. People still rock with Luther to this day. He was being himself. He can't overtly promote who he was back in those days in order to sell records because of the taboo nature of it, of that time period. But as we see it right now, times is changing. Now, I don't feel as though these agendas should be promoted and pushed towards the children as Lil Nas X has been doing. That's not cool. That's not cool at all. But Joe Budden doesn't have a child audience. Joe Budden is a grown man having adult conversations all the time on his podcast. So, hey, come out, say what you need to do, live in your own truth, man. It is what it is, man. Do you. What you do don't affect me. And I'm happy for you that you finally got enough courage to come out or whatever, but you should have been like Joe is the type of individual who's supposed to be fearless. Like, his image is fearless, doesn't care. I say whatever I want to at all times. This has been Joe Budden's image for quite some time. Like, why are you just now coming out? Becomes a question. Like, when you go back into a bunch of his shows that he's had, to a bunch of the songs that he's had, where he gives advice to straight men. Now, that's where I begin to have issues. You feel me? Like, so you felt like you were okay with giving straight black men advice on relationships and people? You felt like it was okay for this? Hold on for 1 second. Like Joe Budden honestly felt it was okay for him being bi and giving advice, sexual advice, relationship advice, especially relationship based on, like, those are his most popular songs to this day. Let's not forget that. But he felt completely comfortable giving out that kind of advice. He felt completely comfortable giving out that kind of advice to straight men, knowing full well what he was doing, knowing full well what he was liking out of other men and stuff like that, bro. Like, that's where I catch offense, though. Like, so you've been lying. You've been lying your entire life. You've been lying your entire career. Like, but you didn't have to. You didn't have to hide it. You didn't have to lie. At least you didn't have to promote it. You didn't have to come out and say anything. But, I mean, and the reason why you didn't have to come out and say it is because, you know, people feel the kinds of way or whatever. But you ain't have to, like, kind of deny it to a degree to live your existence, especially if you're supposed to be the outward, honest, tell you the real regardless. Like, and this is... And I can see you in being the rapper, not trying to come out and saying anything. But when he transitioned into podcasting, just like Charlemagne the God has his super funny, weird moments where you actually question his sexuality and all of this stuff too. Like, same concept. Like, Charlemagne probably should have came out a long time ago too. Am I saying that he is or not? I'm just saying I got questions based on many of the things that Charlemagne has done before in the past, which could be one of the more reasons why them two individuals have had the issues before in the past. You feel me? I mean, come on. Charlemagne got his co-host a copy of himself. Everybody knows what part of that show I'm talking about. At least you should. He copied a part of his body and gave it to his male co-host. These are the people who are getting TV shows. These are the people that are getting Kamala Harris and the Democrats and all them to come out and come onto the TV shows and do interviews. These are the people that they feel comfortable with trying to talk to black society to. Joe Budden, Charlemagne the God. These people who are supposed to be the raw voices of hip hop. There's a reason why the commercial industry felt comfortable enough to push out these individuals for others of us to hear. You feel me? Like, never just think that someone is getting millions of dollars in an advance to do music that they didn't do all of the research on these people. Like, if you had millions of dollars and somebody wanted to get put on through your record label and they need $1 million advance, wouldn't you want to know everything there is to know about that person before you put them on? Wouldn't you want that person to speak to the audience that you've already built up, the people that you already know want to hear what you have to say? Wouldn't you want to ensure that this person is through and through exactly what he says he is, or exactly what you need him to be in order to push him? Especially if you have the resources like these people have with all of the money. You can hire a private eye. You can do a deep dive into the the social media. You can do a deep dive into the actual life, man. Like, everything is easy. Like, all your information is easily found online. And if you got professional help, you can find out more professionally. Isn't that like isn't that what you should do? But it be individuals who don't know what they're doing, like say T.I., who will go out and sign somebody that he had no idea that he was an informant with the police. Like, that's an individual. There's a reason why his record label and his business hasn't really jumped off, because he doesn't take it serious enough to go all the way to understand the ins and outs of everybody going on. But the music industry do. So when they have an agenda or they try to find somebody, odds are they trying to find what your weaknesses are, what you like the most, what you're trying to hide from people. What can we hold over your head so that we can control you at all times, so that we're not going to. So when we tell you, you need to go ahead and make this particular song, and you don't like this particular song, but you do it, we'll leak out the tape if you don't. You feel me? So this is why I feel as though the vast majority of artists that's in the commercial industry who came up not through individuals like, say, Gucci Mane, all of them got something to hide, man. And my thing is, I don't care. Like, congratulations to Joe for coming out and being brave enough to do it. I don't care. But when you do it like Lil Nas X did it, and you're trying to push your agenda to the children and all of that stuff, that's when I have an issue. But if Joe Budden finally comes out to live his truth, and he got an audience that's grown adults that are smart enough to accept him for who he is, and they're already comfortable in who they are, so Joe Budden coming out isn't going to change them, that's what it is. But you can't do that with minds that are still developing. That's my only issue. And Joe Budden isn't striking with that issue. Joe Budden is doing what he needs to do. Mad respect to that man. I'm proud of him for coming out and being who he is. I don't co-sign the lifestyle. Lifestyle just ain't for me. I don't support it. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't support it. No, I don't support it. I don't support it, but I don't stand in the way. I'm not going to hate on you for doing what you do, for living how you live. It is what it is. I accept you still in this community. You're still an important voice in hip-hop, an important voice that needs to continue to be heard, regardless of how much of an asshole you are, regardless of how wrong he is from time to time. But the fact that he is continuing this culture, the fact that he has pushed the business of the hip-hop culture into the podcasting, and some people have been seeing good checks because of it. Let's not take any of that away. Like, that kind of pioneer work that he's put in goes far beyond him coming out telling people what his sexuality is. At the end of the day, man, we need to stop really caring so much about individual sexuality. Like, why is this even a big deal that he came out? When, like, the signs were on the wall for a long time. Clearly, the signs were on the wall for a very long time. But nobody wanted to believe him because everybody just so enamored with an individual's rap skills, with an individual's image. And that's all good. I mean, images are something, man, that's very tough to develop. It can be crumbled with news like this if you aren't in the position to succeed off of news like this. Like Joe Budden, he's in his own lane. He's at a position right now in the industry, man, where he created something that can't really be taken away from him. He built it himself. Now, if this turns away a lot of his fans, then that's just a consequence of the action. But I believe just because his image has been super critical, super crazy all the time anyway, it's not going to go that far away. People enjoy to hear what he has to say about things. And I believe the people are going to be able to put this to the side and still accept him for who he is. And I mean, now if he goes on to pushing that agenda harder and harder, and that being a part of the everyday show that he's putting on his podcast and stuff, that's when issues will rise, because people aren't coming to Joe Budden right now to hear the alphabet news all the time. You feel me? His lane right now is hip hop. Hip hop real talk. Hip hop raw talk. With whoever his guest is, doesn't matter. He will deliver, he will say the craziest things. He says something unpredictable 5 times out of every 10 shows. He'll say something super unpredictable that everybody are super interested in, that continues to further his career. He's going to continue to deliver this. But if he turns that lane into the alphabet people lane, and he does that often and often, he will begin to turn away or begin to not give his audience the news and the recklessness, the conversations, everything that they want from him. When let's look at it in the stocks, like stocks. When your fundamental play, if your stock changes its fundamentals, and in a lot of cases, people tell you it's time to sell that stock. That's what happened when AT&T, who offered dividends, decided, okay, we're not going to do dividends anymore. That's when people was like, you know what? I was only here because you guys gave dividends, so I'm going to sell off my stock in you and go somewhere else that got better dividends. Same concept. He has to understand his audience. If his audience are not coming to his podcast to hear something over and over and over and over and over again, you are ultimately going to turn your back on him if he ultimately goes in that direction to promote what the alphabet people is all about. You feel me? But him coming out and him having his moments from time to time, acknowledging his struggle, acknowledging like this is something that's within the culture, that's within society, giving his points of view on this stuff from time to time, that's okay in the game, bro. That's definitely he can do it right. If anybody can do it right, it would be Joe. Being able to maintain his audience while honestly being true to himself in this nature and stuff, even though that's something that he's been hiding for some time, that people something that people seem to never wanted to hear about, that people seem to never wanted to actually care about from him. It is completely plausible. You feel me? He can do this, but it's not going to be easy. At the end of the day, the people came to Joe Budden not because of anything sexuality related. People came to Joe Budden for raw hip hop talk. People came to Joe Budden because he's one of the most entertaining personalities there is on the internet. As long as this doesn't change, his audience is going to stick with him. Now, if he begins to go into the whole sexuality thing, so hard that it takes away from the whole avenues in which people came to see him for, then yeah, I can see this falling apart. I can see this being one of the key reasons why people don't rock with Joe Budden. And also, I mean, he may have to answer for the fact that he's been lying to us all this time, when he really didn't have to. I mean, I understand this is something that's super personal for individuals. It's something that individuals don't want to come out and do. But I'm sure some people may feel a kind of way, like you've been a big fan of Joe Budden for a long time. Like, I know people who's been a fan of Joe Budden from the mixtape times, from when Joe Budden wasn't like really even on Shady Records or nothing like that no more. Like he had to go back underground because his sales wasn't really hitting like that, but his mixtapes were like some of the dopest mixtapes there was to come out. Like, fans of him since then they should have known to a degree, you feel me? But can you say that you felt as though you've been lied to at this moment? I can make an argument for people saying that they have been. And maybe, just maybe, Joe Budden is going to have to answer for that. Good or bad, right or wrong. Like, you've misled people who, as a whole, had to spend over millions on you, on your albums, on your merchandise. If he's had a lot of merchandise, I know he's had like T-shirts and all that stuff while on tour, stuff like that. But this is something that your core fan base probably should have been told, probably should have known about you. But it's something that, you know, came out of nowhere for them. But it is what it is. I think they'll accept you because, I mean, your music was great. Joe Budden's music was so great back in the day, dude, that I wouldn't, even if he came out during the peak of his career and stuff, I would still be listening to his stuff. I mean, like, real talk, even though I don't support Doja Cat, I still listen to her stuff because that's part of the job. One, I got to listen to the new music that comes out. But then also man, these kids is being bad. But honestly, man, to sum it all up, dude, I ain't mad at you, Joe. I'm proud of you for being a man finally and coming out and living your own life. Like, I've never lived a life outside of the life that I've always known. You feel me? Like, I've always been myself. Right, good or bad, right or wrong. Like, when people always be like, oh, what race are you? And all that stuff, because I talk differently and stuff. People always want to say that, like, and there were moments where people were like, oh, you know, you could pass as something else if you wanted. No, I'm black. I'm not trying to pass as anything else. I've always lived who I am. I've always lived my truth, regardless of if it was good, bad, right or wrong, whether people agreed with it, disagreed with it, whether it made me more money, whether it took away money from me. Dude, I'm going to be myself. And I'm happy Joe Budden is finally coming into the light and doing the same. Even though, like, my thing is, it wouldn't have mattered because, dude, you was making great music. That's all people really wanted from you to begin with. You didn't have to be super secretive all this way. You didn't have to try to make this into some big thing where now it's going viral on Twitter and all this stuff, dude. Like, it didn't have to be anything like this. Like, Black society has accepted a lot of people from that community that we don't get the credit for. Like I said, Luther Vandross. We also got individuals like James Baldwin, very talented black man, who was black first. Like, he always recognized that in all of his speeches. He recognized that in all of his books and things of that nature. He recognized that they didn't lynch you because you're gay. They lynched you because you're black. Something that Malcolm X would kind of say. Like, he didn't say that specifically, but he said something of that nature. Like, there's been a ton. Like, I mean, look at Oprah. Like, black women have questions about Oprah and Gayle King. People have a lot of questions about that. But yet, black women as a whole, black women as a whole look up to Oprah like crazy, bruh. Even when Oprah goes out of her way to crap on black women, she easily should not be looked up to by black women. She easily, like, especially when you see things like how she was defending what's his name? The rapist dude who went to jail. Weinstein. How she wouldn't come out against Weinstein because she pretty much has been eating with Weinstein all this time. Black women still watch her programs. Black women still like Oprah to a degree, even though she has gone out of her way to sell black women out. But that's the thing. Our community gets a bad rap because the mainstream media always tries to find a way to make black people into the bad guys, into the boogeymen. We're going to hate you regardless, and we don't care about you in this community, and homophobic, and then they push Boosie to say something ridiculous so that they can continue to further this agenda when, man, we don't care, bruh. We really don't care. Can we keep it real? Can we keep it real and just tell you that we don't care? But once again, congratulations, I guess, is in order for a man to finally be himself and finally be a man and stand up for what he believes in. But that's about it, dude. That's all I'm really going to touch on for this particular topic, man, because why should anyone care about this? Why do people care so much that this has been trending all over the internet for so long? That's his business. That's what he do. He is who he is. Let him be who he is. What he says and what he does doesn't actually change anything about you in your particular life. It doesn't alter anything about what we trying to do out here. Honestly, we still need this man to be a voice, a pioneer for the culture. As long as he doesn't step away from his core agenda, his core ability, the thing that we all come to him for, as long as he don't step away from that and try to become something different, I think he will continue to have further success, because we as a culture, we let you do what you do, man. It's until you begin to push that stuff on kids that have to learn their own way, learn who they are, and not be molded by your own agenda and your own sexuality. As long as you don't push that towards the youth like Lil Nas X, we cool with you. But that's it, man, for anybody who's still here. I mean, there's still some people that's watching. And for those of you who's watching the playback as well, feel free to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to your boy. I try to do one of these shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Thursdays, optional Fridays. Weekends I'm usually a little busy, but we shall see. But I'm about to come right back, play some Street Fighter in a second. But you guys have a nice night. I still do want to post a video, I'm gonna try to do a quick little video, a quick short video for telling people what the new music is that's coming out tonight, so you guys can be prepared for it to drop at midnight. But besides that, man, you guys be easy. Don't think too much into this Joe Budden stuff, man. But hey, man, it is what it is. You guys have a nice night.